People know me as Vashti. I am changing my name to Joseph, and I have had a lot of experience with mental health.
My name is Swati, I am from India, and I basically came here to do my PhD. I started working as a community mental health support worker here in New Zealand, and I love it.
I have realised that I am genderqueer, transmasculine, which means that I hold both male and female in me in different proportions. I feel more male than female, but I definitely have both. And I'm really glad of that. One of the other main things in my life is that I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder. But it just means that I injure myself all the time. Doing making cups of tea and stuff. And I wear lots of braces. I strongly identify with nature and plants. That's an important part of introducing myself too.
I am a theatre practitioner and have experience of working in a community theatre group in India for 10 years. I have also have an experience with a TV series that I was part of, and I was striving really hard to become a theatre practitioner here, as well as to complete my PhD. And then I found out about community services that are really doing amazing within the community. I thought it was the best thing to do, to understand the community from the roots and the culture. So I started working as a community mental health support worker. I thought that I was very strong and resilient until I realized that it was not the case. It was very hard for me to accept that I need support. After giving birth, it was a traumatic childbirth that I undergone after a very long labor and emergency C-section. They were about to finish the operation and they were about to stitch me up when I vomited, and that resulted in the huge tear on my uterus, and I lost a lot of blood. But I don't know why, what happened. Nobody informed me about anything, so I still have that fear about what might have happened inside my body that I'm not aware about, and that actually scared me a lot. When we went back home from the hospital, it was very difficult for me to take care of my little one and her needs because I couldn't breastfeed, and that's where I got judged from family. I was feeling like a failed mother. My little one kept on crying for the first couple of months, in the evenings a lot. And I was to the point where I was snatching my hair because I just couldn't think of anything that I can do. I didn't feel the connection with the baby at all, like the rosy, motherly figure that is so great and happy about having a child. I was not happy at all. It's not a very nice feeling when you start actually hating the baby. Not loving is a different thing, and that was only due to the fact that I was not fully aware what my body will go through. I went through the documentaries, I went through different articles, that informational things about what motherhood is, what it will be like. But no, it was totally traumatic and different than what I expected. Part of the measure of success of childbirth in the culture where I'm coming from, if you have a C-section, you kind of not so successful or a failure because you're unable to do naturally. I felt that she's the reason why I lost my body. She's the reason why my study goals are being delayed. she impacted my relationship with my partner. And he couldn't understand at all why I was behaving in a certain way that I was. It was a huge mess. It was about the point where we were about to okay, separate.
One of the relationships that I was in was violent. And my first 2 or 3 people that I told had just this really bizarre response of either being like, oh yeah, but what did you do to cause it? Or just actually turning around and really openly and vividly supporting him and ostracizing me. That sort of response made me feel really unsafe, and it just completely shut me down. I was just really isolated and traumatized, and the only person I could talk to was my partner, who was violent every so often, which sort of did this weird trauma bonding thing and meant that we stayed together for way too long because we were the only ones that actually got what was going on. We used to talk about it, which was the weirdest thing. Me and him used to have these funny little conversations being like, why is everyone being so weird? He thought that they were gonna beat him up as a group, but instead they were like, hey, you want a cigarette? You seem upset. It's really hard to leave a traumatic relationship when you don't have any support.
I didn't realize that I was experiencing the postnatal depression until my friend, who is also a psychological counselor, then she gave me some articles to read through, and this amazing TED Talk video. It's beautifully explained motherhood and postnatal depression and how it impacts, and that helped me a lot. I had about 3 good long counseling sessions with her, and where I could openly talk about those feelings, which I was extremely afraid of discussing with my family and my partner. I'm not too sure if I have took my life or not, because I'm unsure if those thoughts were so intense that I couldn't have resisted. I don't know. I can't judge or measure the intensity of those thoughts, but they were definitely there.
The next time something major happened, I actually did have support, and it made the world of difference. It's kind of amazing actually that I had 2 quite different experiences from the same person with a really different support in the 2 things. I could compare them quite easily, and it's just I just can't even say how much of a world of difference that made. Because when people were being really, really weirdly unsupportive and you're in shock and you're dealing with trauma, then it's really hard for you by yourself, casually, to healthfully frame it in your mind. If everyone's saying that somehow you're the problem, then you basically have no hope of trying to frame it in a good way for yourself in your head. People that are abusive are they seem to be able to talk away their behaviors really, really hard to themselves and other people, and I guess that's how they keep doing it. It's this cycle. So when you're being talked through it by this other person, particularly if that's an element, then you really need someone just to sort of right the world and be like, that was not okay, and then you can go from there as a baseline. But if you don't have that, what are you supposed to do? Be like, oh, I know. It's just, it's hard. Very, very important. I was living with my parents when I was going through the worst mental health stuff in my young adult life. And it was just an unfortunate time to be doing that. They were just about to break up, and it was just not great. And it kind of added a bit to my recovery. Sorry, Mum and Dad, it really didn't help. I don't know what it's like from my family's perspective, but from my experience, it has felt a lot like if you have mental health issues, just take yourself away and deal with them quietly and come back when you're a good functional person again. They wouldn't ask you what your experience actually was or anything, which is a really challenging element when you're going through real frightening stuff, just as it is. to also not be able to ever talk about stuff at all with people that are supposed to care. I think it's impacted me more than I've accounted for, because I feel like if I had managed to actually tell anyone about any of the phenomena that I was experiencing, it might have really helped, because that's how humans work. When we share, it like creates all of this amazing stuff. We're like tribal species. I think there was a huge stumbling block to my ability to heal, which is just unfortunate. Like, I don't blame my family for that. It's just what they know, but it was really unfortunate for me. Yeah.
The change of identity, a change of emotional, social, and cultural being. When you become a mother, there is an obvious change, and not being able to recognize that change positively, optimistically, that impacted me. Most of the time, the people I support report to being judged by the family themselves. And simple statements like, oh, you are useless piece of shit because you're lesbian, from the family. You're gaining weight, you need to lose weight, eat more healthy. But can she afford eating healthy? One of the person that I support, she has to take a break from work because she broken up from a really good relationship she was with. And unexpectedly, when she started having a relationship with another partner, her ex-partner came on really wild and physically attacking, and she has to seek security from police and stuff like that. And a lot of that impacts the self-esteem, the identity, who you are, because your family doesn't accept who you are. You can't work because you're under so much pressure that you're not performing. Vince cannot give you a lot of money. So, well, you're left, after paying the rent, which is a huge financial pressure, you're left with $25, $30 a week to buy all of your groceries. And then you're told by a family who lives in Australia, comes and say, oh, you're gaining weight. So like that is very, very complex and triggering and traumatic. But that's my understanding of that person being a support worker. So that could be different for that person, and it could be even more traumatic. I might not be aware of a lot of other realities that she's breathing in. Totally.
I kind of got the sense that as I was growing up, that emotions almost weren't real. Like, it was really hard for me to make decisions that involved emotions or keeping yourself okay with emotional stuff, because it's almost like I was taught that they weren't real in a genuine way, because they were like your insides and invisible or something. And that took a bit to work through. And just working through that one thing really, really helped my mental health. It's important to feel real. Otherwise you have mental health stuff, I promise. And if your emotions aren't real, then it's kind of like your internal voice isn't real in a way, you know?
I think the areas that young people feel really pressured from the external factors are the self-esteem and the confidence. And it's probably because of the lack of the support in terms of allowing them to self-explore and gain the confidence from knowing themselves, having the insights. That's where the support is needed. So it's like at least 2 to 3 times you go to the GP and they give you different medicines. Sometimes that work, but they are like, you have to take them all the time. And then you feel like you still can't survive because your mental health needs are not addressed in a proper way. So I think that's where we are failing. That's where the system is failing. because the young people shouldn't be waiting for this long. If they're feeling something, they should have that services they can just go and talk to, and then that mild depression slowly goes away, because it is definitely possible to get cured from that depressive, I don't know, phase of your life, because everyone of us feel that way some way. I became a really strong believer in nature. Every day, no matter what, I need to go for a walk. So I used to go to the beach every day. Just sit down, be myself, try not to have anybody around, not even a baby, and just look at the sea and try and not think. I can openly speak about it because I'm out of it. I believe that I'm out of that dark hole now, and I have more resilience. But when I was going through it, the pregnancy and childbirth actually fractured my reality of success, or the definition of the success, in a different reality. Sorry, this is so complex. But yeah, and the fact is that my baby is growing really well. She's 2.5 years old right now, and her name is Ruthvi. Ruthvi is the name of the goddess of speech, as per the Indian mythology. Yeah. At large, as a society, we need to allow our young people to be open about it and seek help. Because unless and until you seek help, you won't get it. People wouldn't understand that you have been feeling that way. So you have to be open and speak about it. And understand that it's normal. It's not crazy to feel crazy.
What I'd really, really like to see in society, in my society, in Aotearoa, is for people to not demonize people that are violent of any kind. Because for myself, at least, that's been a major stumbling block to getting support. And quite often, if you're in a relationship with someone that's being traumatic to you, you can kind of you get a sense of why they're doing it or where they're coming from, just because you're in a relationship with them. If you tell someone about it and then they're like, oh, that person's evil, or just completely awful, that's not actually very helpful. And it makes you not want to tell people, because you don't want people to, hate them. And I would really, really like to somehow magically see people somehow be able to hold the fact that people can have both good and bad sides, and that people can do awful stuff and still just be people. I'd really like, if they're friends with someone, to see them either assess themselves and be like, I can't support them if they're going to do this, and stop being friends with them, or stay friends with them and freaking talk to them about their problems, contain them and challenge them and talk to them about their issues. Two options. And I need to see that change. I need to see that change. And I don't know how to do that, but there's a million ways to do everything, but that's the thing that I really need to see change in Aotearoa particularly.